So unfortunately, the rumors are true. Most people do not win at poker over the long run. Most people struggle to even hit break even. However, there are a simple set of strategies that I learned early on in my professional poker career that really turned my results around at the poker table, and I think they might for you as well, so let's jump into it. Number one, never limp first in. So guys, you need to stop donating chips at the poker table. I have a very simple rule. When I am the first person into the pot in any game of poker, I raise. It doesn't matter what hand I'm playing. Let me give you an example. You got two red nines, that's the 9 of hearts and the 9 of diamonds in a $1, $2 game, and you were the first person to act before the flop. This is a hand that I highly suggest playing in this situation. You want to raise it up to $8. Guys, do not just call the blind here. Do not just call the $2 and begin the poker hand in a passive manner. Take control of the pot right away and you're going to have a lot more success. Number two, avoid ace rag. So guys, hands like the ace of clubs and the 4 of diamonds are pure trouble at the poker table. This is why so many people lose. I see my students struggle with these hands all the time and give away their chips. Let me give you an example. Flop comes down with the ace of hearts, king of spades, and 7 of clubs. Let me tell you that if you have ace 4 here, you are in terrible shape versus ace king, ace queen, ace jack, or ace 10. Guys, you always need to remember that poker is all about making the best 5-card hand, and when you play these ace rag hands like an ace 5, ace 4, ace 3, ace deuce, you are simply fighting the math versus a stronger ace. Guys, we don't win at poker, life, business, anything by fighting the math. What is the solution here? Avoid playing trashy hands like this in the first place, and you're gonna have a lot more success. Number three, don't bluff the maniacs. Guys, this right here is literally lighting money on fire at the poker tables. You have the queen of spades, 10 of diamonds, and let's just skip ahead all the way to the river here, which is the 6 of clubs, deuce of hearts, deuce of spades, 8 of hearts, and king of diamonds. So we have queen high on this river. We know that there's almost no chance that we win this pot. By just checking here, we have no pair at all, so you decide to go for the bluff because maybe you saw your favorite high stakes poker player do this once in a $1 million game on YouTube. However, the problem here, guys, is that poker is all about the player type, and an aggressive maniac, this is one of these wild loose players who loves to call with a ton of trashy hands, is simply not going to fold versus your bluff here, and that's exactly what they do. They snap call you on this river with the 7 of clubs and the 8 of spades, and you blame your bad luck at the poker table when in fact this was just a bad bluff that will never work on this specific board versus this specific player type. Guys, it is absolutely critical for your poker success that you understand the right player types to bluff at the poker tables, and this is not the right one right here. The best thing you can do in this situation is just check and give up. Number 4, respect the check raise. So guys, a check raise in poker almost always indicates massive strength. Let me give you an example. You've got pocket jacks, that's the jack of hearts and the jack of diamonds. You raise it up before the flop and one of these tight regular players calls you. Now this is one of these strong, decent players who is watching a video like this. They take the game seriously like you do. They're not screwing around. So the flop comes down with the 9 of spades, 8 of diamonds, and 5 of spades. They check, you decide to make a bet. After all, we have a strong overpair on this board. No real reason to get tricky on a highly coordinated wet board like this, but they raise. This is called a check raise. Now guys, let me tell you, this is massive strength. They are literally screaming from the mountaintops here that they have either a flopped straight, they have 2 pair, they have some sort of monster draw with a pair and a flush draw, or they have 3 of a kind with a hand like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, or pocket 5s. Guys, bottom line, the best thing you can possibly do here versus these tight players is simply fold your hand right now. And I know this is shocking for a lot of beginners and amateurs. After all, we have a strong overpair here. But guys, the critical mindset adjustment here is understanding that tight players do not bluff in a situation like this. They have you crushed. All of the hands that I just listed are 70, 80, 90% to win versus you. Always respect the check raise versus these tight passive player types and you're going to have a lot more success. Number 5, flat the aggro players. So let's talk about a different player type now. And the key realization here, guys, is you don't need to raise top pair every single time. This is a massive mistake that I see my students making still all the time. Let me give you an example. You raise it up with the ace of spades and the king of clubs on the button, and an aggro player calls you. Now, this is one of these loose kind of wild players. This is not necessarily a recreational player, but they play a few too many hands. They like to bluff a lot, and that's going to be critical to this hand coming up here, and they typically put you in a lot of difficult spots. But we're not going to be in a difficult spot when the flop comes down here with the king of hearts, 7 of hearts, and 3 of spades. So we have flopped top pair, top kicker on this board, and we are also in position in this hand, meaning we get to act last. So this is a dream situation versus an aggressive player. So an aggressive player does what aggressive players do. They make a bet into you on this board. What should you do? Well, guys, this is a spot where you just want to flat call and let them hang themselves, as the old saying goes. Number 1, let's examine this board in a little bit more detail here. There is a draw here. If they do have 2 hearts in their hand, they have a flush draw. But other than that, there's really nothing else going on this board. There's no legitimate straight draws, for example. Crucially, number 2 here, again, this is the player type who loves to bluff here. This is the player type who loves to turn a hand like pocket 5s or 7-6 or even jack 8 for nothing at all here into a bluff for something to do. So when we raise here, we're not really getting any value. We're just going to force these hands to fold. So the best thing you can do versus these player types is just allow them to keep their bluffing range as wide as possible. Just flat call them in this situation, let them donate all their chips to you, and you're going to have a lot more success. Number 6, avoid low flush draws. So guys, these hands are pure trouble for you at the poker table. Avoid this at all costs. So you look down at the 4-6 of hearts in the big blind, and a couple people have already limped into the pot. They've just called the blind. So in a situation like this, I'll typically just check and take my free flop. I'm all about taking charge before the flop. I think this is the best way to win at poker. Aggressive poker is winning poker, but with the 4-6 of hearts, I'll just take my free flop here. So flop comes down with the jack of hearts, 9 of hearts, and deuce of spades. So we have flopped a flush draw on this board, a very low flush draw, by the way. We are drawing at the 6 high flush, and importantly, this board also has several other draws on it, such as a hand like queen 10 has an open-ended straight draw, or they could have a hand like ace jack or ace 9, for example. So this is a decent spot for us. So we decide to go for the check here, looking to check call mostly in a spot like this. I don't really love leading into multiple players here. Remember, we are in the big blind, so we do have to act first here, which is a statistical disadvantage. So I don't like betting out too much, because if they do raise us, it kind of puts us in a difficult spot. So I love going for a check call in a spot like this. However, there is a bet and a raise behind us here. What on earth is going on? You see the alarm bells on your screen here, because you need to ask yourself, what on earth is anyone betting and raising with on this board that somehow we're in good shape against? The answer, guys, is almost 0 hands. They have you crushed in some manner here, and that is why the best thing you can do is simply fold your hand right now and cut your losses. Let's just talk about a few of the hands that they can have in a situation like this. As I mentioned before, they could have a top pair hand like a queen jack, a king jack, for example. But the real issue here is you are absolutely dead to a hand like the king queen of hearts here. This is the biggest problem with these low flush draws. People chase these all the time. My students wind up calling here and losing a big pot, is because you're chasing what we call reverse implied odds in this situation. And I will tell you that the best poker players in the world simply fold their hand, cut their losses right now, and they don't put themselves in a situation where they're going to hit a heart later on the turn or river and wind up losing a monster pot to the king queen of hearts. Bottom line, do not chase these low flush draws. They are pure trouble at the poker tables. And number 7, get thin river value. So guys, you need to get more value from your middle pair hands at the poker table. Let me give you an example. You raise it up with the jack 10 of diamonds, a beautiful hand that I suggest playing in nearly all situations. Flop comes down with the ace of hearts, 10 of spades, and 5 of diamonds. So we have hit middle pair on this board with a reasonable kicker. This is a decent spot for us. So you decide to make a bet, they call. Turn comes down with the 9 of clubs. This is not the best card in the deck here. I think think that betting again here is kind of overplaying my hand, so I like going for a check call in a spot like this, but you check here and they decide to check behind. So we'll go see the river now of the 3 of hearts, which is a total brick. There's almost no chance that this card changed anything. What should you do? Well, guys, this is the mistake that a lot of beginners and amateurs make, is that they just check here. They go for a check call, and this is missing value because what you're going to do is just allow a lot of second best hands, and there's a lot of them, like a hand like a 9-8, for example, a pocket 7s, a 5-6. You allow these hands to just check behind on the river and you don't get any value from them. What you want to do here instead is make a strong value bet here, and a value bet, by the way, in poker is just making a bet when you have a strong suspicion that you have the best hand, because all of these hands that I just listed, like a 9, like a pocket 7s, like a 5, these hands are going to look you up on the river because they're not going to believe you that you have a pair after the turn went check check. So guys, always remember to get this thin value on the river. You don't need top pair to make a big bet on the river. This is one of the easiest quick fixes you can make to your game right now. And by the way, you don't need to make a big bet here. A small bet is good enough, but try this one out next time. Don't just check here on the river with your middle pair. Get that thin value in. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you found this one helpful. And if you want to know my entire strategy to crush the small and mid stakes games, make sure you pick up a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the best at the poker tables, unless you're on mine.